Hey guys, welcome to Double Shot of Steelers. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, coming at you with a different kind of commentary related to this football team today. And what I mean by that is it's different in the context that I'd like to think I'm going to call this for what it is, meaning this broader scope for this football team. Because there's something that doesn't add up for me. Hence our headline today. This makes sense. When I think of the Steelers in 2025, when I think of the Steelers in any June that I've been covering this team, it's been a long time now, the first thing that I think of is, what are they missing? What's not there? What's the hole? And I don't have one other than WR2. I really don't. If you want to invent one at slot corner, you're free to do that. But the Steelers have a returning starter in Beanie Bishop who made some splash and needs to get a lot better in coverage. They brought over Brandon Eccles from the Jets, who's capable of being inside, outside, whatever, but he's been more of an inside guy. And they've got people there who can play it. Okay. So what's the crisis? What's the thing that makes you say, hey, listen, they're not very good. They're not going to be very good, because that's what you hear. That's what you hear. Lifted One says we could use a corner. If you're referring to slot corner, there are options. Don't forget Corey Trice. Trice told me this himself at minicamp. He believes that he can be that guy on the inside, and he is not ruling it out. He told me himself he's keeping all of his options open because that helps him to get onto the field. So what's the major malfunction of this team? What is it that has everyone seemingly, I don't even necessarily mean Steelers fans, I'm talking about more, perception from the outside, that has everybody like, I feel comfortable saying to you, and I have, that I don't see a Super Bowl contender. And I was saying that within the framework of why you don't bother to go out and get an Aaron Rodgers, and why you prioritize future moves, future-based moves, future looks at younger players, making sure that you're keeping your draft picks not as assets for current players, but as actual draft picks, or maybe even moving up to try to improve your position or positions in the 2026 draft. But we're here now. We're here in the 2025 reality. And I say that mostly because Rodgers is here. So you look at everything differently. And like this, you look at, is this team any good? I can say I don't see a Super Bowl contender, but I can also say that I don't see some team that's bad. And you hear a lot of that. Even when you're talking about inside the Receivers, so they're gonna be better. I don't see it. I don't see how the two concepts align, and I'm eager to hear from you on that front. We're also going to be talking about Deshaun Elliott getting extended. That happened last night, and a couple other things I want to bring up today. But again, it's mostly your show. Tortilla says we're missing cheerleaders. Yes, we are missing cheerleaders. We're absolutely doing that. When we come back, I'm going to be joined by Chris Halleck right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
when people show up and say they finally made it back to a live show and everything else, and that's actually very cool. There is a different experience in being here live than there is watching it after the fact. You're joined by Chris Halleck now up there in the little box.
In my little box.
Little box in your little block of the house.
Yeah.
Down there where they keep you locked away. Do they still slide the food under the door? Is that how that goes?
No, my wife just throws it down the stairs, and I hope to catch
she
it.
just flings it like the big raw steak that gets thrown to the dog chasing Tom and Jerry of Tom and Jerry fame. We have different people coming in and saying that they're in here key numbers. I like that.
Ooh.
I like that. Any denigrating term toward a lack of support, I'm in favor of. This is how we roll around here.
Yeah.
Chris, I don't get where you do see some fatalistic pronouncements about this team. Okay, you do see predictions, right?
I feel like we see this every year.
Yeah, isn't that the case though? And then nobody ever learns from it.
No, last year there was a pretty significant wave of not just fans, but we're talking league
analysts.
People. Yeah, league
analysts
people who were projecting, and even betting sites who were projecting the Steelers to finish dead last.
Dead last.
North. Yeah, in the AFC North last year. I didn't see it then. I thought third place, and they ended up being a little bit better than that. I thought the Bengals were going to be better than they were. I thought the Browns were going to be better than they were, to be honest, but I didn't think the Steelers were going to finish last place. And now this year, I'm trying to take a realistic look. I still think the Ravens are the favorite to win the division. And then the Bengals.
They should be.
They
should be.
Yeah, they have, arguably, I mean, you can make a really good case that he should have won a third MVP last year.
Lamar?
Yeah. So they have, one of the three best quarterbacks in the league. They still have a really good defense. They have a phenomenal running game. They're just a really, really good football team. Probably one of the five best in football. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. But then when you look at the rest of the division, like the Bengals right now are the odds-on favorite to finish second place in the AFC North. And I'm like, they don't have a defense. I don't care if they have Joe Burrow. I don't care if they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
I don't care if they have Trey Hendrickson. They don't have a defense.
Even with Trey
Think about that. Right. I mean, they're in talks now, and I'm sure it's going to get done. But
yeah,
there's no defense there. And you can't just snap your fingers with a single draft. I know that was the ambition that they had.
Was it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was supposed to be going in. I take that back.
It should have been every single draft pick they made, maybe except for one offensive lineman, which they think they did do take one offensive lineman. But it should have been defense. And now, this negotiation. Okay, let me put it this way. The negotiation that the Bengals are having with Trey Hendrickson is how the Steelers fans think it's going with TJ Watt. It's actually that bad there. Now they're talking again. That's great. But then on top of that, they can't work things out with their first round pick just to get him signed to his contract.
Walked out. Like the first round pick in 2025 when there's a rookie cap. Walked out.
So not only do they not have a defense, they can't get a couple of their most important pieces of that defense under contract in the appropriate time. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I see this Steelers team not having any absolutely glaring weaknesses. There's a couple of spots that need to be upgraded before the start of the season. No doubt about that.
What do you see in that regard?
So slot corner needs to be upgraded, but it can be upgraded internally. And my thought process is weird on this.
Okay, I'm trying here.
I want Beanie Bishop to pretty much prove that he deserves that spot before the season starts. And I know
that's what the head coach wants. Yeah.
That sounds weird, but I want, if I'm a Steelers fan or if I am betting on the Steelers to win X number of games, that's probably a better way to put it because that actually affects your pocketbook. If I'm betting on the Steelers to win X number of games, I feel a lot better about the team going into the season if Beanie Bishop has a phenomenal training camp, phenomenal preseason, and you're going into the season being like, that dude's probably going to have slot corner locked down. I feel a lot better about that. And then obviously adding another wide receiver to the mix. At that point, I think it's a 10 win, maybe 11 win football team. That's where I'm at right now.
Black and Gold Goggles says people want to make a big deal about the collapse. Actually, it was a big deal.
It was a gigantic deal.
It's a really, really big freaking deal.
Yeah.
But if they had the same losses sprinkled throughout the season, it would be a different story. Yeah, I guess in the perception sense. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. If you finish 10-7, everyone just talks about, whatever. Like Seattle finished 10-7, and everybody's like, okay, well, I mean, they had an okay year. They were competitive. The Steelers collapse. They fall flat on their faces. And yes, it has more of a narrative bite to it.
It does.
Black and Gold Goggles says we were a playoff team and we got better in the offseason. I'd look at this a little bit more pointedly from the we are a playoff team notion. And here's what I mean when I say that. The Steelers were a playoff team on a couple of fronts that no longer get recognized. Okay? Mm-hmm. The Steelers were a playoff team in large part because of their ducks from the tomatoes run defense.
Yeah.
They just were. Okay. This was a top 5 run defense through the 10-3 start. Then they ran into a hell of a schedule, meaning both from the calendar standpoint and from the caliber of the opponents and from the type of opponents that were going to come running right at them, and we're going to pound them and we're going to wear them down. And all of those boxes got checked. Then they got to Baltimore for the playoff game, and it all came home to roost. That's how I see that. Mm-hmm. Okay. But what made them 10-3, the foundation of being 10-3, it's not only still there, it's stronger. I don't think anybody can argue that the run defense has been addressed. Now, does that mean it's definitive? Does that mean you're going to snap your finger and get Derek Harmon to perform at a first-round level? I would hope so, but I don't know that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I would hope that Y.A. Black helps to make the defensive line stronger. I would hope that not having to worry about Larry O's foot week after week after week would make the defensive line stronger. I think they're going to be even better against the run, is what I'm saying.
I agree. I think they're going to be better against the run. I think they're going to be better equipped. I think they're also going to be a more aggressive defense this year.
What do you mean by that? Going after?
Well, I mean, blitzing the quarterback for sure.
You see blitzes coming.
I'm not saying Dick LeBeau's stone blitz.
You'd be just getting back there.
I do mean an uptick in actual blitzes, sending 5 or more guys. I do see an uptick in that. I don't see them necessarily going to like near 40% of the time like they were like 7-8 years ago. I don't see that. I do see an uptick, and I see more man coverage. That's another guess of mine, is man coverage. More of it, especially on third downs. It was very, very clear that Mike Tomlin did not trust his secondary and man coverage on third down last year. Not saying that third down has to be a man coverage, but sometimes when you're in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and you can just stick your corners on those receivers or stick a linebacker on a tight end, and you can just trust them to lock them down for 2.5 seconds while your blitz gets to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think in years prior, Mike Tomlin trusted his defense to do that. I don't think he trusted them to do that last year. And the numbers prove it. I mean, their blitz numbers on third down were down. And the reason why I emphasize third down is, well, those are critical downs. That's when you put all the chips down. When are those tough situations?
They're weighty, I've been told.
Weighty downs. Yeah, that's the way Mike Tomlin puts it. So I think because of the personnel that they have, because it's another year now, there's no more learning for Patrick Queen. He's got the defense down. There's Peyton Wilson's the second-year guy now. I think they're just going to be in a better spot to be able to be a little bit more aggressive. Could come with some big plays every now and then giving up, but it could also reap a lot of rewards too.
Good stuff from Denny here on this subject. Says that Patrick Queen's going to be more comfortable. PQ will tell you that himself, and he will tell you that unapologetically. Peyton Wilson, we don't talk about very much, by the way, is going to be more comfortable. Peyton himself told me this is going back to the early part of last season, that it was going to take him 7-8 weeks to really get up to speed. Okay, well, everybody got there, and then they ran into the gauntlet, at which point everybody got exposed. A defensive line will have more energy, and the run defense will be better. And understand, when we're talking about the run defense, well, when I'm talking about the run defense being better, I'm not going to speak for Denny. I'm saying better than what they were through 10-3. I'm not talking about the collapse. I'm not saying, are you going to be better than 299 yards against a game? Oh, great job. Right. This is going to be a lot more rooted from the run defense standpoint. Now, swinging back to the main subject here. WR2. Okay. But take WR2 out of the equation, because the only grade that you can fairly assign to that position in the moment is an I. Okay. It's incomplete.
Right.
So what are we looking at here? What's missing? Think of it this way, Chris. Every time you go into a training camp, and this is more from a reporter standpoint or anything, we're always looking at camp battles. Okay. Positions where they're going to, and we do this, and you're going to write a piece, I'm sure, sometime in the next 4 weeks as well. Says, what are the big camp battles to expect in Latrobe? What are they? Okay. And you know what I'm going to say, all right, Chris, how about just make a list of 5 of them, and you're going to come back with one.
There's one, in my opinion, like one actual camp battle, and that's slot
right. Right. So even on the offensive line, you know who your 5 starters are.
Yep.
Okay. You're not going to have any pretense. And I mean, if they try, they can try. If they come into camp and say, listen, Calvin Anderson's got every chance of being that tackle, as Broderick Jones says, come on, man.
Yeah. The only guy I could possibly seeing getting a spot would be if Mason McCormick just absolutely bombed in training camp, which I don't see.
Look at his makeup.
Yeah, and then maybe Spencer Anderson would get a crack, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I think the 5 that we're talking about now, from left to right: Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Troy Fautano. That's your starting 5, and that's what needs to be. And so when we're talking about what's left, where are they weak? What kind of grade can we give? I don't want to give an incomplete, because there is a body of work of those guys, but the offensive line is really it, because wide receiver is better to me than it was last year. Running back, while there's turnover, it's a better fit for the way Arthur Smith wants to run the football. And at quarterback, I am pretty confident in saying this is probably going to be the best quarterback play they've had since 2018 Ben Roethlisberger.
When I look at Mark Cunningham's remark here, and he might have us on this, he says, I'm just asking, RB1 is not a camp battle. I don't believe that it's going to be painted that way by the football team. Right. Okay, I don't believe that there's any benefit to the Steelers, and specifically to Mike Tomlin, from saying, hey, Jalen, after all these years, whatever, you're going to be now RB1 and whatever, and the kid comes along, and the kid has not proven himself in a pass blocking sense. If you think Chris and I exaggerate this component of what they expect to see from their running backs, trust me when I tell you we are underplaying it.
We really are.
Okay. This is all you're going to, I mean, we heard it actually, Chris, was it your conversation with Caleb back at rookie minicamp? He was already mouthing it. I swear to God, he didn't answer the first phone call from Tomlin on the draft night without being able to mouth something about pass blocking. Now, he's confident that he can do it and everything, but you still got to do it, and you've got to do it at a high level. You got to do it at a level where you're not going to be embarrassed in backs on backers. That's a really easy drill in which to be embarrassed.
Yeah, it really is.
On either side. Okay, because it's all your teammates, and even the fans who are sitting up in the stands at Chuck Noll Field, it's not close to them where the drill is, but it's close enough, and they can see what's happening, and they can hear the reactions and feel it from over there. You don't want that. Yeah. And all of us are we're practically in the ring. It's actually kind of crazy how close we are to backs on backers. And we're reporting everything. We're telling you everything that's going on there. That's a lot of pressure for a kid. Not everybody can handle it. So do I think they're going to have them come in and say, Jalen versus Caleb? No,
I don't either. And just to put this on the record, and you can go back to this, today is June 17th. If Caleb Johnson cannot prove that he can be trusted in pass protection before the season starts, he will never see the field on third down.
Oh,
no, unless it's 3rd and 1 and they're wanting to hand him the football. But if it's any kind of even trying to sell a passing play on third down, he won't be on the football field. It'll be Jalen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell. He has to prove that. And if he
has to prove that. Yeah. Now I feel like this is important to mention as well as it relates to Caleb. They really like him.
They do. They like him a lot.
And I don't mean that like the way they would say about some 6th round pick. Oh yeah, they really like that kid. Of course they do. They drafted him.
Yeah.
I mean, they really like him and they think he has a chance to be a significant part of their offense, but nothing happens until you cross that one thing off the list there. Wandering Warrior. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I just want to kind of go into how much they like Caleb. Just going to take a peek behind the curtain real quick. Night 2 of the draft, we're on the south side covering the draft, right? So this is before they drafted Caleb, but it's the same night that they drafted him. And I am not in the main room where we're working. I'm downstairs. We're kind of filtering in and out of the cafeteria, and there's one particular Steelers coach, and no, it's not Mike Tomlin. No, it's not Arthur Smith. No, it's not Eddie Faulkner, but there's just some other coach / scout / whoever. Not going to say who it is. And I kind of asking questions about how the night's going, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I can't believe Caleb Johnson's falling this far.
Oh, geez.
And the look on the face was just, if there could have been saliva pouring out of the mouth.
Like, shut up, don't jinx it. Shut up, don't jinx it.
Pretty much. They were just like, yeah.
Arthur said afterward he was being driven nuts through that whole round.
Yeah.
Every pick he said, I'm just holding my breath. They kept wanting Caleb to fall.
They did.
It's one of those times where you hear a team say something like, I can't believe he fell all the way to, and they actually mean it.
Oh, yes. This was definitely one of them. No, it was not Ike.
And then there's poor Omar. And Omar is like feeling all this heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Omar was like, no, I had a pretty good feeling that we wouldn't need to. Remember that? He was like, I had a pretty good feeling.
I asked him about that.
Yeah, we wouldn't need to be moving up there. We wouldn't. Yeah, easy for you to say, guy. You're not the one sweating bullets over there and writhing in the corner like the offensive coaches are.
Yeah.
Waiting for this. T wants to know how good was Najee's pass blocking. Najee was a sound, overall, complete package running back from the day he arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he turned out to be not something super special. Okay, but I hope that doesn't ever get twisted into a bad football player or whatever else.
Right.
Najee was, and then he became, as Aaron correctly points out, very good at this. The Steelers were very lucky to have both Najee and Jalen in pass blocking situations for as long as they have. That's the burden on this kid.
Yeah.
Okay. He has to nail that. They know he can do the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, it's really, really easy for Steelers fans now to kind of kick Najee on the way out the door because he's not a Steeler anymore. And there was a lot of complaints about him, but I've said it all along, man. Like, Najee's not a bad running back. He's just not. I mean, you don't have 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons if you're a bad running back. I mean,
no, it helps to have 4 straight 1,000 carry seasons, but
it does.
I'm joking, but not really.
The volume is, obviously he was more of a volume runner, not efficient runner. We get that, and it's part of it, but. Listen, that it's longevity, it's availability, and then there were times in which Najee was he took over a game. Seattle was one of them. A couple of them down the stretch in 23. He just became like
he'd get stronger as the season went along, and he would credit the offensive line because they became more coordinated and knew how to block for him and whatever. And when you're revisiting all this stuff,
and John says it here. It wasn't a great fit for the way the Steelers want to run the ball. It's just
not with Arthur Smith. No. But even before that, there was just always this something between him and the line, and then he would complain about lack of accountability and everything. And let's turn the page. Let's turn the page here. Joe comes in with, hey, DK and Chris, speaking of, we're still staying with this theme of, what's this flaw with this team? Joe says, hey, DK and Chris, if Broderick Jones struggles early this year or at all, how long would you try to ride it out? And how do we feel about the depth at tackle? Calvin Anderson's a pro. Okay. He's played in the National Football League. He's not some career practice squad guy that you're crossing your fingers that he knows what he's doing. He's capable. Mm-hmm. Okay. To borrow from the Tomlin vernacular, he's starter capable. Only Tomlin speaks like that, by the way. He's starter capable with a hyphen in there. Broad is about to enter what one coach told me is a do or die season for him. Mm-hmm. Now, it is important to get the most that you can out of him. And this goes back to something I said in the intro today, where you can prioritize that sort of thing ahead of winning in the moment. You can say, listen, we're giving Broad 17 games. Mm-hmm. Okay, we need to find out what this kid's got. We need to find out what all these offensive linemen got. Okay, but that's not where we are now. Okay, the moment Rodgers stepped on that grass a few days ago, the whole picture changes. Now, your priority for your left tackle is to make sure that the guy you waited on all summer stays vertical.
Yep,
that's it.
Yep.
That's it. So I think back to Denver when I think of Broad and what constitutes, the short string or the leash. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you're going to commit, was it 3 holding penalties on one drive?
There's 3 penalties. I want to say 2 of them penalties. Were holding, and then one was a false start, maybe.
It was the same drive. I mean, it was comical.
Yeah.
And the Steelers, clearly they're moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting downfield, and each time there's another flag on 77, and they weren't even like good or understandable flags, or the kind of flags where you go, man, I got beat, but I can't let my quarterback get killed. They were just bad flags.
Well, one of them erased probably the throw of the season by Justin Fields too. That throw was ridiculous. I mean, Justin Fields didn't have he wasn't void of his flaws or anything like that, but that was a ridiculous throw.
and
it didn't count.
And then eventually, actually, I shouldn't say eventually, because this was was that week 2?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was week 2 we were out there.
Yep.
And you're looking around on your sideline and you go, well, let's just put the stone cold rookie in. Okay, that's how bad it got.
Yeah.
So can there be another situation like that? My feeling is, because we saw it in Denver, yes. Does Calvin Anderson need to prepare in training camp in Latrobe as if he could be a starter at either tackle position? And I don't mean on merit with Fautano. I believe in him. I just, things happen, right?
Yeah.
I believe that Anderson is going to be a pretty big deal in Latrobe. We didn't talk about him at all through OTAs and minicamp or whatever. Once you're out there, mm-hmm. that depth chart and all that stuff starts to matter.
Yeah. My feeling on the Broderick Jones is for how long do you ride it out? From what I gather, you ride it out for 17 games plus playoffs. That's how long you ride it out, because you have to find out if this guy is your left tackle of the future, because next offseason they have to make a decision whether or not to pick up that 5th-year option. And that's not going to be a cheap 5th-year option, by the way. I don't have the number in front of me, but all offensive linemen are counted the same now. when it comes to those fifth-year options. It's not just tackles. It's not just guards or centers. It is all offensive linemen, and tackles are very expensive, so they make that number very, very high. If they pick up that fifth-year option, it's going to come with a gigantic cap hit. They have to figure this out. They just have to. If he sinks and drowns, then so be it. Then at least you have your answer. You don't pick up the fifth-year option, and then you address it in the draft most likely.
It's just different. It's different with Rodgers back there. That's the one thing. I mean, you can't. If he sinks, probably means the quarterback sinks.
Right. And and I do think also the position in the season does like if for example, the Steelers are 10-3 and they are 10-3 in spite of Broderick Jones, like he is allowing 10 pressures a game and Rodgers is constantly getting hit 5 times because of him a game, then maybe Mike Tomlin's like, I'm tired of getting my 41-year-old quarterback hit. Screw this. I'm going for it. I'm going to pull the plug. We have our answer, and maybe that I don't know, but I also don't think Broderick's going to be that bad either. But there's also that possibility that we really need to consider. Okay, is that Broderick is someone who has the frame, the strength, the aggressiveness to be all of those things that he was when the Steelers didn't just draft him high; they traded up to draft him that high. Stella Fierce throws in $5. The Turner's tees are only $3. Just a little context there. Stella, we appreciate you and everything that you do within this community. Tony Brown also dropped $5. Chris comes in as a new member. Fishing for Trout drops 5 gifts. Chris's alter ego. That's definitely not my alter ego.
I love when he gets defensive over it. That's the best. Because this is the question that Chris planted here. Is if Mike Tomlin gave you GPS directions, would it just say, "We do not live in our fears" while you miss the exit and drive into Lake Erie? I love the visual, though, of missing your exit on I-79 North.
This is how you know it's not me, by the way, because I would never ask this question in my life.
Okay, but would you miss the exit? This is the question here, because the butthole here is really giving you a vivid thing. If you miss your turn on I-90 onto I-90 from 79, meaning toward Buffalo and Canada and everything else in that direction, we drive it a lot for football and hockey.
Right.
If you do that, then you keep going straight and you make it into actual Erie. And then, of course, if you just keep right on going, you would make it into Lake Erie in some form.
Dude, so there was, I don't know.
I didn't understand the question at all.
No, I did, but there was some sort of construction. So I just made that drive last month. We went up to Niagara, and there was some sort of construction on 90 or something like that, where we ended up taking that road that pretty much rides right next to Lake Erie, like the whole time on the way up there.
Oh, the closer one.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the road that we were on. So that's
the road they don't bother shoveling.
Yeah.
In the wintertime. That's the one where they just say.
Yeah. Didn't have to worry about that in May, thankfully.
Tommaso asks, DK, with things being quiet in the NFL, is this an ideal time for you to take a vacation, although baseball's still going on? First, Chris will answer this because he's taking his. When's yours again?
So I
would know that.
I leave Monday. And
I'm gonna do?
I do. I leave Monday. But I also probably won't be on the show Friday because I have to cover that baseball team on Friday.
These guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be doing pregame stuff and everything. So maybe I can pop on for a second or not. But
yeah, we've got some staffing issues. I'm not 100% sure we're going to have a Friday show. But we'll get to that as we get closer.
But yeah, then I'm going back to Texas. We're going to go see family and friends. I'll be gone for a little over a week. I'm pretty much using all my PTO at one time because once training camp starts, there's no time for PTO.
No, that's just the way. One of the things about being in our business is you do to address your question here, Tommaso. you got to pick your spots. You can't just, it's Super Bowl week and the Steelers are in a Super Bowl. I'm off this week.
Yeah.
You can't.
Nope.
It's just, that's not the business that we're in. Our hockey people have a certain spot. Well, it's Taylor Haas. She has a certain spot in the calendar where she says, okay, this is it. I'm out. Why? Because the Penguins have no activity. Baseball, the same thing. For me, I'm going to stay active through what's a pretty busy time for the Penguins at the end of this month with the NHL draft and then the opening of NHL free agency, possible trades, possible significant trades on their front. The Pirates have obviously driven themselves into Lake Erie. They did that several weeks ago. So their games don't matter at all. We're still there, but the emphasis on excessive coverage or multiple people being there, as Chris can attest, we had a very different work schedule for covering the Pirates last month than we do now. We were double teaming everything.
Yeah.
And then from there, I don't even know if you know this, Chris, but I'm heading to Serbia.
No, you told me.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm heading overseas as I did last year, as I did a couple of years before that. That's where my extended family is. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, but all of my actual connections, like family connections, because I'm the only one from the family that came, my parents, the only ones that came over here. And I'm going to be taking my daughter, Dada, for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Which is going to be, it's going to be pretty wild, right?
Yeah. And
so that'll be like, we're probably not going to have a show that week.
Yeah, because I think
because you're heading somewhere too.
Because I think you're
doing the All-Star game.
While you're in Serbia, I'm in Atlanta covering MLB All-Star Week. So,
okay. Chris remembers that my last trip, I fell on my face. That was last summer. Yeah, in Novi Sad, the second largest city. I stepped on the scenes from the Warner Brothers cartoons where you step on the rake?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I didn't do that, but it was similar in that I stepped on a grate in a public sidewalk that just went like this. And down I went. I mean, down like Frasier, just boom, boom, boom. And of course, all the greedy Serbs sitting around these tables, they come over after they help me up, and they're all like, "Hey, you can sue this guy. This is his grate." They give it his name, sue his ass.
That's awesome. I mean, that's painful, but that's funny.
It hurt like hell. Don't fall on your face. It's a bad thing.
It's never fun. It's never fun.
Anyway, that's where we are. Hey, by the way, before we go today, I do want to bring up that Dejan, we mentioned in passing, Elliott signing his contract extension for a couple of years. There's one thing that I wanted to get into with you, Chris, here, as it relates to Elliott, because he's coming off a ridiculous season. Okay. Russell asked, doesn't Elliott's extension seem like a good bargain deal? Not like the current one.
No, not like the current one.
But understanding that he's going to be a little bit older. What's he, 27 now?
28. I think I looked it up yesterday. I'm trying to remember. So
but is it a good deal? Bearing in mind that the current deal holds. This was not a rip-up.
Right.
Okay.
It extends on to the current one. Yeah.
These are 2026 and 2027, which secures his rights for what's now in 3 full seasons from when we're talking. Okay.
Right.
And it's still at around 6 per, and it was 3. I'm sorry for the guy who just set the NFL next gen stats record for tackling efficiency. Yeah. And we didn't even need to see that to know it. Meaning, watch the game. I'm loving this. I called for it on a podcast, Daily Shot, about a month ago, and I was really looking forward, by the way, Chris, to all the back and forth on the subject. And they go and trade George Pickens that day. Like, I really thought I had a nice topic there. We were gonna, go back and forth on, and then there goes George.
Yeah, no, this is a great deal for the Steelers, and they really really like him a lot, and that's why when we've been talking about the whole TJ extension thing, listen, this one might go later into the summer. In the meantime, if they extend somebody else, the two primary candidates are probably Deshaun Elliott and Calvin Austin, with Elliott possibly. And I think I even brought it up. I think it was sometime last week. I was like, but it wouldn't surprise me if they just wanted to see it for one more year. Well, apparently not. Apparently 1 year was good enough for them to be like, no, we're going to make sure we don't lose this guy. And that just goes to show you how much they like him a lot. Not only the tackle efficiency, but I mean, from a box safety to get an interception, 6 passes defensed, plus he forced 2 fumbles and recovered 3 more. He, for what they're paying, it's absolutely worth it. I think it's a great job extending him.
I mean, I don't think anybody is going to be down about a contract like that. No. I have one bone to pick related to Elliott, and it's actually with Elliott. And I'm going to play a video for you here. Okay. This was a conversation he and I had at one of these OTAs, mini camps or whatever. Okay. And here, just listen to it and pay attention to what he brings up on his own. Okay.
When you look at the season that you had, the 3 missed, not even missed tackles, the advanced statistics on what you did last season were amazing. Can you appreciate that? You think you can improve upon it?
Yeah, I can definitely improve my game all around. They did a pretty decent job with tackling, but I didn't get the ball more. I got to be a bigger leader for this defense, whether it's vocally or being able to get guys aligned. For us to be able to make sure we're all on our P's and Q's. But, it's more than just me. The reason why I was able to do that because I have guys in front of me like PQ and Cam and TJ, Herb, KB. They make it easier on me. And all I can do is thank God for the position that Mike T is giving me, the opportunity to play this game. Because, I've been to a lot of places, but it's the only place where I feel like home. So I appreciate them so much for giving the opportunity.
Sacrifice some of that tackling at the risk of going for the football, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Depends on what's going on. Like, if I'm at the point of attack of the ball, I'm going to go for the ball, which I was last year. But sometimes, I just got to – last year I played around the line of scrimmage a lot. So yeah. I was just flying to the ball. So when you fly to the ball, you end up with 10, 11, 12 tackles a game. So I'm trying to take some of that back, maybe get at some to linebackers a little bit and get more takeaways, more interceptions, more forced fumbles, maybe some more sacks. So, it's a new season, new opportunities, but I'm excited.
That make you cringe at all? Do you want him chasing the football, or do you just want him doing exactly what he did last year?
I think if he does exactly what he did last year, you got it good. But I think if he misses if he has another 111 tackle opportunities and he misses maybe 3 more than he did last year, but he ends up with 2 more picks, I think he'll take it.
Well, I don't even. He's not talking about picks there as much as he is, doing the thing where you just smack the football, from behind and the reach around and all that other stuff. But this is a team that needs to recover from the scars of the 299 yards. Right. I don't want my guy is just eating everything up. The way he put it, he said, I'm close to the line of scrimmage. I should be getting 10, 12 tackles. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't want my safety leading the team in tackles game after game. I don't want my safety ever having double-digit tackles. And we've seen that in recent years. But he's really, really good at it. You know who else is a really, really good tackler, by the way, on the defensive side? Hint, the other safety, the one that plays 5 miles off the ball.
Yeah. Now, I think we're going to see a bit of a difference in how, again, I think this is where the Darius Slay addition makes an impact when it comes to how they're going to deploy the safeties. Also, Juan Thornhill. I don't want to take anything away from that addition. He's a center field type safety that will, if you have 3 safeties on the field and that's what you want to do, you can, in theory, have Deshaun Elliott and Minka Fitzpatrick both closer to the line of scrimmage, whether they're playing in the slot or in the box, whatever you're doing.
Dude, can you picture that first day at Latrobe? And that's the alignment? Because that stuff doesn't get shown at these things.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you picture, because Minka kind of threw a little bit of a hint. Okay. I just did what I was told. And, remember, when Minka talked that day that we were there, this is another world. Okay, if you say, listen, we're going to be more dynamic, but we're going to be more dynamic closer to the line of scrimmage with our safeties, and maybe instead utilize the inside linebackers as more of the roamers. You know what I mean? The guys that cut things off sideline to sideline, screen passes, toss outs, and stuff like that. That's exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, there's a giant, like James actually kind of teased this up for me perfectly. He says the 299 yards was all schemes and play calling.
True.
No,
I so blame the play calling for it.
I mean, again, I went through that entire game. It was
I know you did, but the crashing down on Derek, of course it was everything. But you made a list.
Everything.
The crashing down on Derrick Henry and then not changing it till the third quarter. Just saying.
No, so second drive, they changed who was responsible for Lamar, because first off, they were trying to have Minka be the one to run all the way down from 30 yards away to get him, and that was dumb. Then they changed it to having Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson be the guys to swing around from the inside linebacker position, and it worked. Then whenever that started working, then what the Ravens started doing was pulling tight ends and using them. And Patrick Queen just got done explaining this to me, started using tight ends. The Ravens were always one step ahead. That was the problem. Every time the Steelers would adjust to get to where the Ravens were, the Ravens would be the ones to then get back ahead by doing something different. And then the Steelers were always playing catch up. And by that time, they were dead bleeping tired and then couldn't stop anything. But it was everything in that game. It was the scheme. It was the play calling. It was the execution. It was the defensive tackle play. It was the linebacker play, including Patrick Queen barely being able to speak. It was everything. It was a terrible, 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 terrible game all across the board. I hate myself for watching that game back.
It sounds like it. You're really scarred over there.
I am scarred. Like everybody's like, "Oh, Chris needs a raise for watching all this Jets film." I'm telling you right now, the worst thing I've done so far with all these chalk talks is breaking that bleeping game down. That was awful. It was bad, so bad everywhere.
Work hazards.
Yeah, pretty much.
Calling OSHA or I don't know, CYS. I don't know what the appropriate acronym is, but call somebody for how dangerous it is at your workplace. When we come back, we're gonna take care of a little bit of business here on ye old double shot of Steelers. Is ye old? Is that an Irish thing or is that English?
I would think that's Old English.
I would think so too, but I don't know that. I'm sure somebody will pipe up from over there here in a moment. Because I know when I was in Dublin in 2019, all of the bars and the pubs and whatever, they have a few. Just preparing you for this, Chris. They have a couple. Okay.
Oh, darn.
Everywhere that you go, they have those ancient looking signs that hang. You know, from the wrought iron, whatever, outside the little pubs and whatever. And I seem to recall that there was a whole lot of ye old, but I could be mistaken on that one. Let us know here. Danny just wants us to ask Butthole because he's into linguistics, obviously. Never underestimate the humor quotient around here. Have some business to take care of. Destin, she's pretty cool. She comes in, by the way, I don't mean to call her out here in a positive way, but whenever we put the Daily Shot, that's the morning shows, podcasts up, she is the first, like this is at 3-4 in the morning.
Nice.
She's the first one, and she just comes in with like a little smiley face. Butthole says Parks and Recs or The Office. Come on, man. Wait, you think that's close?
I love both.
Oh, geez.
So much. I mean, well, I would probably say The Office.
Yeah.
But Parks and Rec. I'm actually going back through Parks and Rec right now.
What's a great way to settle this? It neither. and it's the movie Office Space. That one wins every time. Joe came in with $5. He had asked if is there any real defensive line battles this year? I would imagine that there is, Chris.
Well, I think the big one that we need to watch is when the Steelers are in nickel and dime. Who's the one lining up next to Cam Hayward?
Who's the one? Who is the two? Is because when they're out there with two guys, which by the way they are most of the time.
Yep, they are in their nickel and dime.
In this alleged 3-4 defense. Yeah. Stella dropped a 5 in there for an iced tea. Tony dropped a 5. Joe was in earlier with a 5. Fishing for trout, dropped 5 gifts. Make sure you guys are becoming members, by the way. dkps.net/join. We don't have an update here because the boss I think she's only pulling back into the residence now from their 4-day vacation. She'll be back here on the show tomorrow. Tony came in as a new member. More butthole. Then Eric came in with a gift, as did Carrie. And Carol, in the name of Mason Rudolph, it's not that, but it might as well be with her, dropped 10 gifts onto the process as well. We appreciate you guys. Deshaun Elliott, I like it too. The other thing is about Elliott, Chris, before we sign off for the day, the other thing about Elliott is it gives you a little bit more... What's the word I'm looking for here? Payroll. Is it security? It's not the word. You're just how much you're going to spend. There's actually an economic term for it. It's just zipping my head here.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. No, I think it's a great move across the board. Both in terms of having a guy next to Minkah that you're going to trust.
Cost certainty.
Yeah, that definitely helps for sure. Also, fun thing about Deshaun Elliott. So he went to Rockwall Heath High School, which is about 15 minutes from where I used to live in Texas. He is one of his best friends was his teammate at Texas. His name is Malik Jefferson. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Bengals, and he went to the same high school that I went to. Malik Jefferson did. And so and Deshaun Elliott was recently on Malik Jefferson's cooking podcast. And I brought it up with Deshaun. I was like, hey, Malik went to the same high school I went to. And so he started telling me he used to live in Mesquite, which is the town I lived in for 15 years. But his dad, literally, they used a different address so that his dad drove him to Rockwall Heath High School so that he could be in a better football program, which I thought was really, really cool.
That is cool. That actually is cool. Bad news for Butthole here. We have now permanently banned him from being part of this community because he had never seen Office Space.
That's like insult. That's an insult to DK.
Godfather, did you not see Schindler's List? JFK, Gandhi, Gone with the Wind, and this? Like, how do you not see Office Space? I can't. I'm crestfallen right now. What should I say? Crushed. Brian Rodriguez just dropped 20 gifts on his way out the door here, and Leroy shows up like with 1 minute left to order his drink at Starbucks. I'm here late. What's up? On the door in his face. Cody says that's a declaration of war. I'm not going to argue. We have to get you and CJ apparently into a room, and we have to do it with those. If you saw Clockwork Orange,
I think I've lost
with it, huh?
I think I've lost.
Where they peel your eyes open like this, and you have to watch it. And if somebody walks by every like 10 seconds and puts eye drops in, so that,
I think I've lost whenever for those who've watched that when the guy. The girl on the island, her boyfriend, she can't find her boyfriend, and he ends up being locked in this room, and they're drugging him and making him watch this propaganda stuff that's like only stuff that you would be able to take in if you were like on drugs or something like that. And he's wearing these goggles that are like keeping his eyes like open and everything. And Yeah, that's what I think of immediately whenever I think of anything like that. But that's just me because I'm a gigantic fan of Lost.
This is the best possible thing that could have happened. Destin, who never says anything, who only drops these smiling emojis and never says anything. She's so emotionally moved by your distress in not having seen Office Space that she speaks and says everyone has to watch it. State law. William, when I taught government, I used Office Space clips to explain bureaucracy. It's perfect. It explains life. It's larger than life. It's larger than cinema. You must see Office Space.
I had a college course in which I learned we studied American culture through watching The Simpsons. It was one of my favorite classes I ever took.
That's actually really funny. You ever seen the list of all the stuff that The Simpsons predicted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
correctly. It's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that they got, they just totally nailed.
Yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite college courses I ever took. Again, it was something that didn't even go towards anything that I was taking. I just thought it was going to be interesting because it was a study of American culture, and we totally just watched The Simpsons and studied it through that. It was actually really interesting.
Carol says different generations. No. This film spans the generations. Okay, this is Citizen Kane. Okay, you don't watch Citizen Kane and say, "Oh, well, that was made 90 years ago. That's not any good." No, none of us were born when Citizen Kane came out, and we all can appreciate Office Space in the same way that we can the Casablancas. I can't handle that anybody would never have seen this. And yes, it's a movie. It's not a TV show. It's a movie, one-time movie. I actually carry it in my phone. I have it with me at all times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And not in the semi-downloaded, not really downloaded, cloud version. I have it in the phone in case there's no Wi-Fi and I need it on that flight.
Yep. I have a few of those. Inception
is one. It is profound, says Jay Moods. Office Space is timeless, says Cerberus. Some truths are universal, says Steve. See how cosmic we're getting on this? John says, I quote the movie at least once a week. That sounds about right. But then you have to indoctrinate your children. I've done that as well. I don't apologize for that. I didn't introduce my kids to sports. They're not really into sports at all. Didn't introduce them to anything remotely related to journalism. They even left Pittsburgh. Can you imagine my kids not staying in Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter to me as long as they watched Office Space.
It's definitely, it is a great movie. It really is. And yeah, it ends up getting quoted pretty frequently.
All right, guys, we'll do this again tomorrow.
This is a long business portion of the show.
Now, this is where Chris tells you what the conversation that we had after yesterday's show off camera, where we talked about how we were just not going to go long again.
Well, the actual show itself went shorter. We were still going at this point yesterday.
I can't get over Destin. She's still talking. This is so weird.
I do need a red stapler.
Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.